Greetings, Summoners. Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Battle Spirits Saga deck profile. And today we have a super sick 5-color Nemesis list that is going to go to 6-color, apparently with blue right around the corner. So you might notice I'm not showing the list just yet because it is so spicy, and I really want to stress this list, yes, they did lose their first round, proceeded to win out all the way until the last round, and then unfortunately lost their win in. So we were so close to seeing this in the top 8 list, and because of breakers, because of the 5-2 record, fell just outside of top 16, and I wasn't having that. This list is so spicy, and I got to see it pop off on a round that I had to showcase it with everybody. But the other thing I wanted to say up here right at the start is, surprise, spoiler season is started as well. We are getting all these insane blue cards, which will be another video, but I just wanted to mention over the next month, we will be getting about 4 cards every single day for Aquatic Invaders. And this new starter deck that we're going to do a review on tomorrow or sometime soon, it is by far the best starter deck we've ever seen in Battle Spirits Saga. And obviously I'm a little bit biased because blue is my true color. For those that know me from Magic and all the other games that I've played, I am a blue player. So I'm beyond excited. There's a lot of good stuff coming, and I've already heard some people like reach out to me about picking up the game because of the Game Grump promo. So I'm like, all right, I guess those are doing something. So there is a lot of good stuff to look forward to in October. But with that out of the way, let's look at this very spicy top 32 list, the Nemesis Rainbow, as we're calling it. And Bryce asked me to give a special shout out to ZC Games out in New York, who are popping off every Saturday for locals. So make sure to go check them out. This was apparently their like testing baby that they were working on and brewing together, and so many people were like coming together to make this thing a reality. And I gotta say, as someone who's been working with a lot of like yellow purple and just trying to make it good, Ryan Miles has also been working on a variation of a yellow purple list, which has a lot of the same elements here. Like Nemesis is really just starting to be that card for a lot of these decks. But I think in a world where we are going to be post depths and we are able to play more of just the other Nexus cards that are just good too, this deck has a lot to gain in the very near future. And I know when he sent me the list, I'm like, there is no way you have all this spicy tech in there. But they made it happen, and only at 51 cards. Like, I was really impressed. So yes, there are going to be some things that even myself, I was like, okay, this is a 2 of, maybe I want of a 3 of. There's a 3 of, I maybe want of a 2 of, right? There's definitely going to be some considerations that you're going to make for your local meta. But I have to say, you got to try this out. You got to see how many different and unique combos are in this deck. Like, when it happened, I'm not playing Battle Spirit Saga. I don't know what game Bryce and them are playing, but their brain is just so much bigger than mine. I could never build a list like this and to have this level of tech and just heart put into it, that they are clearly on another level. But it really goes to show, if you put in the work and do that deck building and put in the hours and just grind it away, and yes, I know some people are going to still say, oh, but it has depths in it. There's a lot of other good stuff in here that you're doing that I think this deck list does crazy enough get better as depths moves out of the format. So again, huge shout out, nothing but love. This list is insane, and I cannot wait to play something similar. And my locals, it was just, I can't even stress how good it was just to watch them pop off. Like, there was a turn where they lined up like double Nemesis plays into Clavis getting back Exhaust Nexus to board wipe a Maduke that they wouldn't have been able to remove otherwise. Clavis, of course, being able to target the Nemesis, get back your Exhaust Nexus. Spiral Tower off the Clavis when you sacrifice it to Nemesis. Draw 2 cards. Clavis comes back. Double Exhaust Nexus them again. Play Exhaust Nexus the next turn because you get to play the Clavis targeting the Nemesis again. Like, what? Like, there was so many turns. I'm just like, I can't piece this together. Like, I was truly like, my jaw was on the floor watching this game. And I'm sorry, I would love to tell you I'm gonna do a deck or do like a deck versus with this deck. I can't. I'm not smart enough to play this, y'all. I'm sorry. Like, watching the master at work, I am so upset this list did not get on camera, because it was just that good. So if you want to see it, and if you're in New York, again, make sure to go check them out. Absolutely love this list. But let's get into the actual like tech choices and kind of what brings this all together, right? So at its core, at its high level, right, there's kind of 2 key themes that we'll notice. Arcana Joker, we've talked about this a lot. It's just an unblockable good guy. We have yellow cards. We can value off of it with Blessed Cathedral. Of course, now with Nemesis, it's going to, Joker's going to swing unblockable, get the damage in. Then we can sacrifice it off Nemesis, bring it back with Spiral Tower, so we have another one for the next turn while you're plussing off Nemesis. Like, so many of these yellow purple lists have just been so close to being something like actually insane, and Nemesis is kind of the key theme at every single one of them. So yes, if I were to make this like new player friendly, and if I was trying to tell someone to pick up this deck, strictly take out everything that's not yellow purple. Obviously keep burning forces, giving the meta, but then cut out like the scoop owls, cut out the off-color stuff, and make sure you are just focused on the value that you can generate between the yellow and purple engines that work out pretty well, all things considered, right? And then many of you know Nemesis, but if you don't, it's just a good 8k body for attacks. When it attacks, you get to strip cores, which, as I mentioned, lines up super well with Exhaust Nexus, so you can de-level something and then kill it with Exhaust Nexus, like hint, hint, Maduke, like the one game that I got to watch. And then, of course, sometimes you just need it to be a deadly balance on a body, so then you get to sacrifice it to its own effect. You get to bring it back with Impaler Forest, right? It's just a really good card in the meta right now for just being able to have so many different applications, and this style of deck really cranks it up to 11 because of all the various effects that you can kind of combo together. Or if you have something like, you know, a Scoop Owl that gets blocked, and then you have to tap something else down, then you're clearing the way for Nemesis as well. So there's a lot of ways that an 8k body can continue to attack through where you might feel you get walled off otherwise. Or again, if the game goes late enough and you got in that chip damage, just wait for the Arcana Joker to bleed out the last couple points of damage. And when you have Spiral Tower to just bring it back every single turn, right? You don't even need to see the other Jokers like a lot of decks do. In this list in particular, because you have Spiral Tower, because you can loop things back to your hand, right? Just seeing even one Arcana Joker early enough is going to be giving you that unblockable damage turn and turn again. So really at its core, right, it is a yellow-purple value rainbow style of deck, right? Yellow-purples plus the other kind of splashes. And then with blue, like getting strong draw so we can see those combo pieces faster and maybe have like Beldegors, stuff like that. That's a very real consideration. I personally wouldn't do it, but I know when I had the chance to talk with Bryce and going over the card combinations, right, it is something they were considering. And I think a lot of people are looking to strong draw to see how it might make these other decks come online. And then I already talked about it, but the thing that really got me excited when I saw this list come together, Exhaust Nexus, you know it, you love it. It is one of the best Magic cards in the game and continues to be. And with set 2, we got Clavis. And Clavis, like, don't let it not be missed. Like, Clavis, it's an A cost. It does take a while to get there. You have Blessed Cathedral to ramp you. But that level 3, when the Spirit is blocked, treat the blocking Spirit as level 1 during battle. Clavis is coming through. She is getting that life, or she is taking something out. A 10k attacker that forces a level 1, shocker, your opponent's losing stuff. And then, of course, as I had mentioned time and time again already, it being able to target Nemesis to get back your Exhaust Nexus from your graveyard so you can loop in the board wipes time and time again. Like, it is insanely strong. Now, of course, with set 3, we'll get some new yellow Magic cards that we might want to explore. But I think no matter what, for this list, you are always going to be running 1 to 2 Clavis because of how well it combines with every single thing in the deck. Again, I really want to give them a shout out to just how much of a mastercraft this deck list was in watching it get to play out. So Exhaust Nexus, obviously going to continue to be a really great card with blue right around the corner, right? With them being a very Nexus spam heavy of field, right? Because they get that minus 1,000 for each Nexus they control. It's going to absolutely house blue decks, right? They're going to play a when summon. You go, oopsies, I'm sorry, minus 8k your board. Like, whoo, I'm not looking forward to getting blown out by Exhaust Nexus in set 3. But if you haven't already, get your foils. The card is just going to get even better in the next set. And then, of course, the Clavis SPRs. You only need 1 or 2 of them, so they're not going to be that exciting or get that expensive, but they are exciting with how gorgeous the cards are, so go pick them up. And then, like, what is the value side of this, right? Like, what is the other, like, hey, we have Beldegors, we can feed those to the trash Sooners, right? Everyone knows how good Beldegor is. It's a 3-drop, kills stuff, comes back, kills more stuff, great. We have Scoop Owl or Mr. Scoops. I love this card. Obviously helped me out recently, but it's a 4-drop, so you're getting it back with Beldegor. You're able to make sure you're able to attack with your Nemesis so it doesn't get chump block unless they have something like a suppression, and that's going to make you a little bit sad. And then the other one that was the real MVP was Dual Eagle. If you've played yellow, it's one of those things like so many times you're able to line up, oh no, I went down to 1 life, and then suddenly Dual Eagle, because of their level 3 effect, you go, all right, well, sorry, I'm going to heal back up to 2, and now my Absolute Ice Shield is live again. And I watched them hang on for dear life against a Maduke deck when they had like 20 cards left in deck. They went down to 1 life. They found the Dual Eagle. They were able to stabilize. And that was a turn where they're like, I almost, like, I felt bad for the Maduke player just like watching it all happen, but it was just so amazing, right? He was able to have double Nemesis on board, attack, shrink the Maduke by remove 2 cores, right? It has 4 cores left on it. Sacrifice itself, get the draw off the swamps, right? or get the draw off the Nemesis. The second Nemesis attacks, removes the 2 cores, and then he's able to play the Exhaust Nexus from hand, which he just got back, double Exhaust Nexus, killing Maduke. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, but this costs so many cores. It was late game, and if anyone who's played Blessed Cathedral, the dude had like 50 cores at the end of the game. It was insane. But that's also just like what Blessed Cathedral does, right? You are constantly ramping in this style of deck, as it turns out, right? So, it's one of those things like they just had the stack of core cards. I'm like, I'm not going to count that, but yeah, you got cores to do anything you want possibly for the rest of the game, right? So huge shout out to watch like this core value come together. And this is where it's like, okay, do we still want scoops as we go to set 3? Like Dual Eagle, you're always playing. Beldegor, you're always playing. Purple Reduction, really good, right? And this is where it becomes a conversation of, okay, let's look at some of the other 4 and 5 costs that we might have in set 3 or, tournament pack promos, whatever it might be. This style of list can only get better. Again, thanks to Beldegor, thanks to the interaction with Nemesis, but it's one that like, I'm just super excited to see where Nemesis goes set after set because of this list. And I think this list beautifully showcases how good the yellow-purple core can be. And then you just slide in a few extra cards. And then the one that like really gets me geeked beyond belief is the Spiral Tower and Impaler Forest, right? So yes, there's a depths. You know depths. I know depths. We don't need to talk about it. But Spiral Tower, we do need to talk about it, right? So during your attack step, when one of your yellow spirits would be destroyed, you may exhaust this Nexus to return that spirit card to your hand instead of placing it into your trash, right? I talked about this a little bit already. Let's loop the Jokers. Let's loop the Clavis. Let's loop the Dual Eagles that then died and got us back a Beldegor trigger, right? There is just so many things that you can do with Spiral Tower in a Nemesis-focused list that it is a no-brainer to include this, and it's one of those things that I will admit, I just completely overlooked it. I have not considered Spiral Tower in those Nemesis lists. I've been playing some yellow-purple lists and just like, I don't know. Like, I will just admit the error of my ways, right? Like, Spiral Tower is just an insane tech piece that is absolutely correct, by the way. Like, so mind-blowingly correct that I don't know how I missed it sort of thing. Because now we're able to always pressure these Jokers. We're getting the Clavises back for multiple Exhaust Nexus, right? It just does so much. And then Impaler Forest, because we have the effects off of Nemesis, we get to then strip even more cores, right? So we talked about very early on with set 2, this is a Nexus for the Shadow archetype, which is what Nemesis is supposed to be from, right? So now you're stripping multiple cores, and then on top of that, if for some reason they answer your Spiral Tower, now we're just able to put this up to level 3. Spoiler, we have cores for days, and then we get to loop back the Jokers, or maybe we burn through our Exhaust Nexus and we want to get the Clavis back so we can target the Nemesis and get our Exhaust Nexus, right? Or basically whatever you need at any point, you are going to get it back. And of course, you don't hate to mill things like Beldegor because you're going to get to play them out of the graveyard anyway. So I love this. Again, the way watching the match play out and watching them have full control over which 2 of these Nexus they want to focus on and interact with turn over turn. Like, once you get to the late game against this style of deck, it is very hard to win, it felt like. And again, his opponent, at least the game that I got to watch, they had the Maduke, they had the multiple Blood Curse turns, they had the core thefts, like they had everything, it felt like. And I think they had like triple Maduke at one point, if I'm not mistaken, and like going through their number of Madukes. And it just wasn't enough, like at the end of the day. So again, really, really impressed by the list. And I think once we move the conversation away from depths and like what other value Nexus weak cards we can play, this is really cool. I love seeing the various interactions and watching these 2 play out. And again, just being able to have total control over what spirits you want back when, and then Nemesis being the forever value engine that you get to pull off. And the one that I really gotta give a special mention here too, because it's one of those things I immediately had to ask them. And if you know me, and I put it on Twitter, I put the list out there of like, hey, here's what I would do in more of a 2-cost style of build with Raphael. Like, just pretend those first 2 effects don't exist, but that level 2 and 3, the very last one on there, during either attack step when a core is placed into your reserve, select one of your opponent's spirits, treat it as level 1 during this turn. You can shrink stuff, you can remove protection, you can line up your Exhaust Nexus for even better value. It's a target for Clavis to get back your Exhaust Nexus, right? Maybe I was wrong all along, and Raphael just doesn't have a home in like those more aggressive style of strategies, and this is where it's ultimately meant to be. We'll see when we get the other bird folk support in set 3, but at least as it exists today, right, because you're sacrificing your own spirits, because you're putting those cores to your reserve, you're always able to trigger this. It's very easy to control the board state, and again, Nemesis is an 8K attacker, which is really good, that this is a card that even this one you don't mind sacrificing if you really have to, because you're able to loop it back with Spiral Tower, right? And I think it's just so important to get that effect where you can just sacrifice multiple things, shrink multiple things on your opponent's side of the board as spirits, and then exhaust Nexus them out of the game, right? It's just one of those tech conclusions that I wouldn't have maybe thought about at a high level, just because I want to live the dream where like I get the 2-cost stuff back, I get to do the double angelic pressure plays, right? But turns out forcing your opponent's stuff to level 1 is just going to be good enough in a lot of situations when you're able to, you know, deplete their cores or have the exhaust Nexus for the board wipe or other forms of interaction, just to make sure your Nemesis lives or your other spirits are able to attack through. So really love this as a tech choice card, and something that, again, 100% now seeing this list, watching them play, I would not dream cutting this card anytime soon, right? Yes, it's a 1 to a 2 of, but it is something that when you are able to line up the combos in the deck, has an insane payoff for what you're able to do. And with that, we get to the end of the list itself. Huge shout out again to Bryce from ZC Games in New York. Make sure to check them out. They have a pop-in scene. And again, this is a list that you definitely see it all come together, and just how much love was put into this to get to this point. And then, of course, the other thing I didn't mention out front, but, you know, Deadly Balance, of course, being one of those cards, too, where it's like, yeah, let me Deadly Balance my own guy, get value off of it, off of the Spiral Tower and Cathedrals. And now I think if you said Swamp earlier, I meant Cathedral, right? Cathedral to ramp and draw us a card, and then we can move something to level 1 because of Raphael. Like, there is just so much cool stuff that you're doing in this list. Again, I have nothing but love for everyone who put their minds to this, because this is absolutely a homebrew style list that rewarded people for really digging in the weeds and finding out what they want to build for set 2, and clearly is something that I just wanted more people to see, which is why I'm doing the video on it. And of course, we will be hopefully seeing more of it in the near future, or just yellow purple in general, because I know a few people are definitely working on some very spicy lists if the depths gets banned, because a lot of other decks do get better, as it turns out. But with that, we have, you know, the interview with the winner, Caleb, coming up soon. We have spoiler seasons to look forward to starting today. All those cards are going to do a starter deck review soon, and just so much more for Battle Spirit Saga. So with that, my friends, have a great rest of your week. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.